Iron beams that you said had fallen onto the cars that led to the death of this driver. Now, has there been any, have those beams been removed? There are a number of engineers, the National Disaster Management Authority officials over there. There are engineers that are on the spot. What is going to be the solution right now for the Terminal 1 to then resume operations? Because then there are a number of people who would want to board their flights and their flights would be cancelled or they will have to skip those. Any compensation being given to these people who would be coming to the airport to board their flights? How's the situation going to be handled by the Civil Aviation Ministry?
Well, yes, it's been more than 10 hours, but still the heavy iron pillars and canopy are not removed yet. The engineers and the NDRF team have brought the gas cutters to cut down the big iron pillars into small pieces, and then they will be removed from Terminal 1. As of now, the flight operations are stopped. The flights have been transferred to Terminal 2 and Terminal 3 of the airport. The luckiest thing in this incident is that there are only 2 flights which are operational from Terminal 1, that is SpiceJet and Indigo. Had it been Terminal 3 of the Delhi IGI airport, this incident could have gone more worse, since that is the most busiest terminal of this airport of the national capital, and these flights have been
having a look at the number of flights that depart of Indigo and SpiceJet. Indigo amongst the topmost aviation companies in the country. A flight every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes. So that's going to cause so much inconvenience to the people. Those who are perhaps not watching our television, not following through the NDMC Aviation Ministry's website or their Twitter links would not know. What if they then end up losing, crucial time and end up losing their flights, they do not depart, they lose boarding their flights, and that's a cost that they will have to incur.
Well, yes, when we were asked by the police to go beyond this certain point, I was at the departure gate, and there are several people who came to the airport. They were not knowing that this incident happened. They were not aware that their flights were either cancelled or diverted. There are some people who here again booked another cab, another taxi, and then went to Terminal T or Terminal 3 respectively, wherever their flight has been rescheduled. And there are several people who came here and then they received an SMS from the concerned flight agency that their flight have been cancelled or postponed. Yeah. So see, there is a very big,
that disaster that has happened, that entire roof has collapsed and it is made of iron beams and concrete structure. It's a concrete structure. You have cement that has been used to make that entire roof, and it just completely collapsed. Thank God there have been not more fatalities that have been reported in this case. Responsibility at this point of time is not being taken either by the Union Civil Ministry, who continues to attack the former government, which was the Congress that was in power, because they are saying that the airport was built in 2009, whereas the Congress is attacking the Union Ministry, saying that this is the disaster that has happened under the Union government, which is led by the BJP. Questions being raised because this entire structure was built by Adani group of companies. Now, how does the government tackle this?
Well, yes, see, this is the most saddening part of such incidences, that the political parties try to play a blame game over each other and no one takes the particular responsibility for such type of incidences. The Union Aviation Minister, Civil Aviation Minister arrived on the spot and he declared that the deceased would get an amount of rupees 20 lakh as compensation and the injured would get an amount of rupees 3 lakh as compensation. But compensation is nothing when it comes to the life of a person.
Right.
And he also said that this is not the part of the airport which was inaugurated by PM Narendra Modi a few months back. But see, the person who has lost his life and that particularly his family, they have nothing to do with who built this airport and when was it inaugurated. It's the responsibility of the current government and the caretaking agency.
You're absolutely right. Thankfully, as seen in the pictures, how many of these iron beams fell on these vehicles? What you can see is there is one particular beam which has crushed that vehicle, that car, and there was this driver in this car. It was a taxi, perhaps an Ola or an Uber taxi, where the driver was inside the taxi and he's died unfortunately on the spot. Is this just that one beam that has fallen, and or are there more of such iron beams that have also fallen after the roof collapsed?
Well, see, it's not only one single iron beam, it's more than 4 or 5 iron beams which have fallen. And I want to show it via visuals also, that this kind of structure, if you can see behind me, that this canopy is attached to these big iron pillar beams which have fallen. And these iron pillar beams have fallen on the cars in which the drivers were sitting, the passengers were sitting. However, some of them were rescued successfully without any injuries. Some were injured grievously, and one person has succumbed to the injuries. The falling of these big iron pillars raises the question that canopy can fall anytime, since it is a small fiber plastic sheet. But these huge big iron pillars falling, it's a thing of which it is a thing of major and grief concern, that how can an agency be so irresponsible that they are not even aware of the loosening of nut and bolts of such an heavy iron beam.
Questions being raised. Who was the contract given to? Who is the company that has built these beams? This was a restructuring that has happened, so it was a recent building of the beams, and obviously the canopy that has been put in, the steel sheets that have been put. So the big question arises is, who is the contractor who was responsible for this? Who is the construction company that took over the job of rebuilding the airport, refurbishing the airport, and the disaster that has happened just a few months before the inauguration took place?
Well, yes, these are certainly some very big questions which lies that who was the company behind the caretaking of these big iron pillar beams, these canopies, and the maintenance of such structures at the Delhi airport. The GMR, however, operates the Delhi airports, takes care of the security, the private security, and the management, the cleanliness, the washrooms, the Wi-Fi, all these things are taken care by the GMR. But as of now, no particular release has been found that who is responsible for these structures outside the airport main gate. And the second big thing is that we can see on social media, there is a video which is going viral. Around 5 a.m. it was tweeted by a passenger that the rainwater was falling from the roof very heavily. At that particular time, around 5 a.m., if the concerned authorities would have taken care of this incident, the big incident, this larger picture would have not been created half an hour later to that waterfall. See, we can see on that video that water is emerging like a waterfall from these plastic canopies. But the falling of these canopies, the falling of these iron pillars took around 5:30 a.m. in the morning. So there is a 30-minute gap, and this 30-minute gap is more than enough to evacuate the Terminal 1 of Delhi Airport, that to such a small fraction, that to such a small gate of Delhi Airport, where only 2 flights are operating in the morning.
Yeah, okay, all right. Thanks for giving us those details. So, gruesome details pouring in over this accident that led to one fatality. Also on the telecast with me is my colleague. She's at the Delhi railway station. You know, the situation is not as good over there as well. All right. Okay, we're getting to know that a team of forensic experts arrived at the Delhi Airport Terminal 1 to carry out the investigation into the canopy collapse incident. That we're getting to know. My colleague Ayush had told me just a while ago that the investigation right now is taking place. So, you know, the investigation team has arrived at the Delhi Airport Terminal 1. The forensics experts have arrived. So, you know, we're going to we're going to get into the bottom of this disaster that has taken place. Never in the history of the International Indira Gandhi Airport has this a situation, an event such as incident such as this has taken place.
Well, yes, the forensic team have arrived at the Delhi Airport Terminal 1, and they will go down deep and will check what was the reason behind falling of these iron pillars and the canopy. See, there are 2 possible reasons. The first one is that the iron, the nut and bolts which were used, they were either junked off and they were not hard enough to hold these heavy canopies. Second is the reason that the nut and the bolt were not enough tightly sealed and packed that they can handle the pressure of these heavy fiber canopies. These two can be the particular reasons, and then the forensic team will file the report to the concerned authorities, and then they will decide that who is responsible behind this incident. See, it's natural. It's not an act of God. It's not something that has happened immediately. It would have been taken care of, so a person's life would have been saved.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.